Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about Survive With Me, a collection of stories of survival. This is edited by Kenneth W. Cain. It is from Alien Agenda. I had to make sure. Alien Agenda Publishing, and it's a collection of stories of survival. So you've got right here on the front these great authors. That's just their last name, so I'm going to go to the table of contents so we can talk about some of these. Heather Herman, Chad Lutsky, Brian Moreland, John Everson, or Everson. I've heard it both ways. Summer Cannon, Tim Wagner, Chris Sorensen, Kristen Dearborn, Ronald Malfi, Lucas Mangum, Nate Kenyon, J.G. Faherty, Hunter Shea, Rio Ewers, Gwendolyn Kist, and Brian Kirk. So that's all the people that are in here. A lot of great authors. And I have some notes because I couldn't remember necessarily which story was which. And I do want to talk a little bit about some of them. So, as with most anthologies, right off the bat, this is a mixed bag. You've got some great stories. You've got some weaker stories. None of them are bad, which is good. I do love that cover. And maybe before I get into this, well, definitely before I get into this, I'm going to tell you that all proceeds from sales go to support the American Indian College Fund. So all of these stories were donated, I believe, and all the proceeds, as I said, go to the American Indian College Fund. So it's always nice when there's a charity anthology. Don't know if it matters to anyone. 3 of these stories are reprints. They've appeared elsewhere. So the rest of the stories are all new to this collection. That's what the copyright page is telling me anyway. All right. So, again, these are stories of survival. And they're different types of survival depending on the story. So you've got abusive relationships. You have post-apocalyptic worlds. You have very strange things that I may or may not get into because I don't want to give anything away. And I think the first story, which is Hold Still by Heather Herman, I think is about surviving adolescence or high school. It's a well-written story, although I do think it tries a little too hard to make you think one thing is happening when it's actually something else. I thought it was obvious that it's not going to be that one thing. It's absolutely going to be something else. I didn't know specifically what the something else was, but I did think it was pretty clear it's not what the story's making you think it is. But it's still a well-written story. It's an interesting story, and it's probably the least straightforward in the survival aspect, I think. Not the strongest start to the collection, but still a decent story. And let's see, I just want some of the highlights. Should I talk about my favorite one first, or should I save that for last? I don't know. But let's see. Abby's Best Role by Brian Moreland was a lot of fun. Short stories. It's difficult to talk about specifics, but let's just say Abby is trying to survive something. Forest Butter, John Everson or Everson, is a relatively straightforward little slice of horror story, which was a lot of fun. It was interesting, not something that I'd seen before. Summer Cannon, Sick Burn was fun. Fun is such a horrible term to use, I suppose, for these things. I've said that before. Someone surviving a fire. Sick burn. Get it? Day 12 by Tim Waggoner, which I believe is one of the reprints, was really interesting. I highly recommend it, but I don't think I can say anything about it because I don't want to spoil what the story is, but it is absolutely someone trying to survive a very strange situation. But definitely recommended. Laney, Chris Sorensen. I'm a big fan of Chris Sorensen's Messy Man series, and this was an interesting abusive relationship survival story. Mrs. Cleaver. I didn't take a note for that one. I don't know why. Can't remember which one this was. Oh yeah, another abusive relationship story with an unexpected ending. But a very well written, very interesting story. Let's see. What do I have? Oh, The Hand of Violence, Lucas Mangum. I'm a big fan of his work. And this one is a nice slasher story, essentially. You know, you're reading a nice slasher movie, someone trying to survive. I mean, he's not literally like writing a movie, but that's the comparison I'm making. Street Action, J.G. Faherty, if that's how you say that name, is a zombie story that has a pretty impactful ending. I really enjoyed that one. Then The Princes She's Forgotten by Gwendolyn Kist is a different take on fairy tales, and it's interesting, it's well written. I really like this one. I'm talking about a lot of these. I've skipped some, but Handle with Care, the final story by Brian Kirk, really interesting. About it takes place during a family reunion. One of the family members had died, and this family meets the man who received a heart transplant, received the heart from this dead family member, and things happen that I'm not going to tell you about because you should read it for yourself. And then finally, I'm kind of going backwards now. Those were, I was kind of just looking through the table of contents, you could tell, going in order, but I skipped my favorite one, which is Into the Night by Hunter Shea. And I don't want to tell you what it's about, just that it's a married couple. Some weird things are happening in the night, and it is a fantastic story. It's incredibly creepy. It's pretty obvious from the very beginning what's actually going on, to the reader anyway. You wouldn't expect the characters to have figured it out. But if you have any awareness of certain things in the zeitgeist, you'll recognize what's going on. 2, if you know Hunter Shea at all, you'll have a pretty good idea what's going on simply from who he is and what he likes to write about and talk about and things. Is that vague enough for you? But it's very effective. There's some really creepy stuff in here. And again, the ending of this story is insane. And so there you have it, I suppose. Again, didn't talk about every story, just some highlights. Survive With Me. Again, I believe I gave it 4 out of 5. I say again because I record these videos one after the other on Saturday, typically. So I just, in the previous one, said I gave this book 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. And now I say again, I gave this book 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, like you just saw that other video. but that's not the case. So I gave this 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. Probably would have given it 4.5 if possible. But as I said, it's a typical anthology. It has its ups and downs. Not every story is mind-blowing. There are a few. So, yeah, it's a good book. It's got good stories, great authors. Money's going to a good cause. There was, I don't know if it's over yet at the time of this recording, but Glenn Rolfe, who is the publisher of Alien Agenda, was matching the proceeds for a while. Again, by the time this airs, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but he was, for every book sold, the proceeds from the sale, he would match those proceeds to donate to the American Indian College Fund. Let's just make sure. There's no introduction, which is interesting, but there is a little afterword called The Cause, where Glenn Rolfe talks about why he chose the American Indian College Fund. And, of course, about the authors in the back. Tells you about all the people that are in here. So, anyway, that's it. That's Survive With Me, a collection of stories of survival. I always just want to say survival stories, but that's not what it says. So, there you go. I recommend it. Some good short stories there. All right. So, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comics, games, and fuzzy animals occasionally, is EricSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.